NFL hot takes, news, and notes this morning for the live stream podcast on YouTube. We got a couple of storylines we're going to be covering. We have also a couple of updates and a couple of news stories that we've been looking into. Before I get right into it, I want to make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can get all the updates and all the breakdowns. Without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to jump right in. And the big question is, will Trey Hendrickson remain a member of the Cincinnati Bengals? They've opened up news discussions and they've opened up contract negotiations again with Hendrickson this week. And it comes at a time where the Cincinnati Bengals are struggling. They have yet to sign Shamar Stewart, their number one overall pick, with the 17th overall pick in the first round. And you're looking at, okay, what are the Bengals going to be doing on defense? Offensively, we know they've got all their guys intact. We know that they spent a lot of money this offseason on T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And a couple of years before, they spent a lot of money on Joe Burrow. So now you're asking yourself from a standpoint, will this Bengals team ever recover so their defense can start taking some type of stability? When you think about just what this team's going to do, there's a lot of promise and there's a lot of expectations for the playoffs. If that's going to happen, they're going to have to, at some point, have some type of coming together and the players understanding that defensively, they're going to have to be better than they were last year. Giving up the amount of yards that they gave up, giving them out the amount of touchdowns, and overall the big plays that they gave up last year wasn't effective, and it didn't help them make the playoffs at all. So their lack of defense caused them to lose games. Their lack of defense caused other teams to be able to stay in football games when offensively they were blowing people out. You just got to think about this. From the last 2 or 3 seasons, they've gotten worser and worser and worser defensively. There's been no answer for it. So the guy that has been standing up for you, that has been showing up for you defensively, you don't want to pay him. So now you got to ask yourself, the remainder in the locker room, the defensive players, the offensive players that are coming up for payment, are they having to worry about, okay, am I going to get the same runaround? Am I going to get the same issues? Am I going to get the same stuff where they're trying to put me on the back burner? You know, you got to think. Players talk. NFL players in certain circles talk. And not paying your best players sends a bad message to the rest of your team, the core of your team, the leaders of your team. You got to ask yourself, how much money is him making going to deter you from breaking up a team or breaking up the locker room? I could see if this was somebody that was mediocre. I could see if this was somebody that wasn't really a leader on your team, but you're talking about somebody that's been a stand-up guy for you for the last couple of years, on and off the field, in and out the locker room. And he's been proven to be an Iron Man. Only missing 3 games in the last 4 years. That's durability. And still putting up the numbers that he puts up. It just makes me think that, you know, the Bengals are in a place where they have to evolve. You have to stop doing bad business practices and stop rubbing people the wrong way that it's going to be on your team. So it remains to be seen if he's going to be a Cincinnati Bengal, but you also have to ask yourself at this point, you know, are the Bengals better off letting him sit, making a move for him, or doing whatever the case may be. So that's going to be the tough part when it comes there. Moving over to the AFC North, just across the hallway, if you will. But there's a lot of questions about the Browns quarterback situation. When you think about the Cleveland Browns have 4 quarterbacks that are vying for one spot. There's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. 2 of these guys were drafted in this year's draft, Shedeur Sanders and Gabriel. And then you got to think, Kenny Pickett was traded for. Joe Flacco was signed in off-season. So you ask yourself, who has the hot hand here? Who has the hand that you want to essentially use moving forward? And it's not a lot of clarity coming out of the mini camps and the OTAs and things like that, because a lot of these guys weren't actually playing with number 1s. They were playing with number 2s, playing with number 3s, throwing to the backups. So you didn't see a lot of offense that you said, okay, they've opened the playbook in the practice period, and now they're going to be doing all these things differently. It looks the same for all of them. We just need to know what's the plan for the Browns. You have 4 quarterbacks. You can only start one at a time. You know, do you go with Shedeur Sanders? Do you go with the young hot hand? Do you go with Dylan Gabriel? Does he give you a chance to win right now? Does Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco give you a chance to win right now? Look at your offense. It's not the best offensive team that you've ever had, but within the realm of possibilities, the Browns have to ask themselves, how long do you kick the tire along before you have to make a decision on Deshaun Watson? How long do you kick the tire along before you have to say, okay, we're going to clean house and clean this coaching staff, and we're going to go ahead and get rid of the general manager as well? Because at this point, they've been horrid the last couple of years. Yes, they made the playoffs a year ago, but just in 1 year's time, they were so bad that essentially having to make off-season moves, having to make off-season deals. That's where we are with the Browns. Nobody believes in the Browns being a great team. Nobody believes in them being a bounce-back team, and nobody believes in them making the playoffs next year. Again, can one of those quarterbacks in that room turn around a franchise? Probably not. If anybody, I got my money on Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, but we've seen the best of Joe Flacco. He's an older quarterback. We've seen essentially the best of Kenny Pickett when he was in Pittsburgh. You know, he may have learned some things in the Philadelphia area as far as being on the team for a year, learning under Jalen Hurts, but I don't think that's going to help him physically when it comes to the actual quarterback position. So I throw a grain on the salt. I throw a grain of salt on that actual quarterback battle, because when it's all said and done, I don't believe any of those quarterbacks are going to lead the Browns to the playoffs or the promised land. I don't see them being a title contender, and I don't see them being somebody that's going to be in front of your way to get to a title. That's just me personally. Next topic, it's going to be Travis Hunter. The breakdown, the rise and fall, and also the eligibility of one Mr. Travis Hunter. When you think about him being taken in the NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars moved up a lot to take him. They gave up a lot of draft capital, so they need to get their return on investment almost immediately. When you think about him being on the offensive side of the field, he creates so many different mismatches, same as when he gets on the defensive side. So with that being said, we've seen him go from one great technique to the next each and every year. We've seen him essentially help a team and win a Heisman and essentially just be himself. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're working with right away. And now when you think about this coming season, you got to ask yourself, is he going to be on the offensive side or he's going to be on the defensive side? How is he going to be used? How much time is he going to be played? You know, how many sacks can he get? These are all questions that have to be answered. And I think that in due time, he's going to answer those questions himself. I feel like Travis Hunter is special, and he's going to be a Deion Sanders-like player. With the way he studies, the way he prepares on film, the way that he does things, he's showing you he's a Hall of Famer. That's what he's showing me. And not just a nickel package guy, not just a guy that runs on the field for special teams. No. An actual great player. Give me Travis Hunter over a lot of these guys nowadays. Somebody who wants to live, eat, and sleep football. Somebody who wants to go crazy on the football field and give their all to the game of football. That's what I'm looking at when I look at Travis Hunter. When I look at how he's having fun on a football field and life is simple for him, he's basic. He doesn't want to go crazy and do all these other things, but he wants to help his team get better and win. That tells me everything I need to know about Travis Hunter. So that's why I feel like that is what that is. We got an off-season question. It says, off-season activities. It says, are you concerned about Stefon Diggs and the Patriots after the viral video of Stefon Diggs being on the boat? The answer is no. The answer is no. Nope. If he chooses to do something, if he chooses to go on a trip, if he chooses to be on a boat full of women, and beautiful women at that, that's his personal business. He's not missing OTAs. He's not missing training camp. He's not doing anything that's going to harm him or harm them. Because there was no arrest made. There was no There was no confiscation of the said items. So we just got to ask ourselves, what are we really overreacting for? It looks like Stefon Diggs did show up to OTAs. He did show up on time. He did run around. He did block well. He did scrimmage with the guys. So what's the issue? What are we talking about here? Anything that's off the field related, and this to me doesn't have anything to do with anything, I'm not covering it. Because that's more tabloid-ish. That's more like Hollywood story-ish. That's more off the grid-ish. And I don't want to get into people's personal lives or what they do with their family, their loved ones, or partying. It's none of my business. That's where people have to learn the difference. And overstepping their boundaries. Because a lot of times they'll take stuff and they'll see it in the media or they'll see it on the social media site, and then they'll begin to ask questions, and then Vrabel will answer questions, and it's just like it's a big to do over nothing. Again, did you find out that the pink stuff was drugs that was in that bag? Was that pink stuff that they talked about on the tabloids? Was it cocaine? Was it? It's a pink substance. We don't know what it was. It could have been chewing gum for all we know. It could have been bath salt for all we know. It could have been anything. So we can't jump to accuse somebody, and there was no actual arrest. There was no disturbance. There was no issues. There was nothing that actually happened or came from that. So what are we really talking about? A distraction. When the man Stefon Diggs showed up on time, when he was out there practicing with the rest of his teammates, he was out there running full speed. He was jumping. He was catching. He was doing all the individual drill work. And we're worried about pink substance? I'm good on that. I don't think Braves need to keep going into that or explaining that, but it is what it is. So, is there cause for concern for C.J. Stroud and his health? From the standpoint of him getting his shoulder right, there is a little concern. Him partially participating says that he's trying. He's trying to get out there on the field. He's trying to work out some of the kinks. He's trying to do what he needs to do to get back on the field and be the leader. Sometimes it's not going to work the way you want it to work. That's just telling the truth. Sometimes it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. So health-wise, sometimes you may have to start the season on the injury reserve, or with a bum shoulder, or with something not working how you want to. And that's okay for C.J. Stroud because he started out with a great individual freshman year, struggled his sophomore year, so now we are in the junior year. We are in the junior year where he gets to develop a little bit more, play a little bit more, and he has more of a understanding of, okay, this is what we need to do. We've been to the playoffs before. We've done some good things. It's time to elevate to do great things now. That's what I think he is with things. From the standpoint, I like Stroud on the Jets, Eagles running the East. Yeah, those things are true, but I don't think he'll ever make it to the Jets. I don't think C.J. Stroud will ever make it to the Jets. I think Houston has him as their franchise quarterback, as they should so far. He hasn't shown nothing that's not shown me less than a franchise quarterback. He just has to stay healthy. So, yeah. But I think Justin Fields is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Justin Fields is pretty good. I don't think you should give up on Justin Fields yet. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by Justin Fields and his output and what he does overall on the Jets. So with that being said, the Philadelphia Eagles, it says we are aging out. No, we're not aging out. I think from the standpoint of the Eagles, Howie Roseman likes to have depth at different positions. So what he's doing is revamping the actual roster. What you see as aging out is revamping. It says, I did like the Chiefs getting their teeth kicked in. Yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes. Sometimes you can have a team that energy is just better. So from that standpoint, I like it. I think Philly has a lot of different holes they're filling And they're not big holes, they're not big gaps. So that's one of those things. Does Aaron Rodgers' late arrival mean the Pittsburgh Steelers will have a bad start to the season? No, that's not what that means. No, no, that's not what that means at all. Aaron Rodgers, let's face it, he had unexcused absences. He went to Egypt when he was a quarterback of the Jets, and he still, I feel like, threw for at least 4,000 yards, almost, and 28 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers can still throw the ball. He didn't forget how to throw the ball. Now, is he drama-filled? Possibly. Most of the time, yes. Is he a diva that wants attention? Yes. Is he a person that looks for all these things and sits on a pedestal that's up here and talks down to his teammates sometimes? Yes. It happens. Yes. But you gotta think for this standpoint. If he wants to get back to the Super Bowl, and he wants to make a name for himself, and he wants to be known outside of the one Super Bowl he does have, he's gonna have to actually throw the football. So it's very tough to think that this team has something to offer long term if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play his biggest potential role. Trading for DK Metcalf, if you don't use him properly, then what? So I think that you can still have a great time throughout the season and Aaron Rodgers not start training camp on time. You can still have continuity, you can still gel, you can still have the little things and not have to kind of worry about, okay, is Aaron Rodgers going to be in shape? Is he going to be able to throw the ball? Is he going to be able to lift weights? You know, there's a lot of things there. So I think that people have to realize this NFL season is going to be a great one. It's going to be a lot of question marks, a lot of different faces, a lot of new places. And, you know, it's you're starting to see some of these players blossom. You're starting to see some of these players come into their own, and it's refreshing. It says, where is Adams going to end up? Adam who? Adam who? Gregory, can I say you world champions? Philly fans have no class. I said hi. Oh, Devontae's he's in Los Angeles with Matthew Stafford. He signed early, like the first or second day of free agency. So Devontae is in LA with Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. I think it's an awesome combination because Devontae is a route running genius. So is Puka. Puka has the route running down packed, and he also has the moxie to get down so he doesn't get big hits, to get out of bounds, to make sure that he's running the right routes, and to set up the defense and make them get fooled by moves and double moves and cuts and stuff like that. So it says, I've been on basketball. Go Knicks, go Celtics. Okay, both respectable franchises. Both are going to need a little bit of work this offseason due to what's available. But no, overall, you know, it's going to be a long season. It says, okay, so the Jets are cooked. How the Jets cook? You didn't even give Justin Fields a chance or the coaching staff. One of them things. But I think that as it progresses, as it gets better, you're going to see more. You're going to see more. So again, when Justin Fields allows you to get wins because of his legs, because of those close games that it's close going into either the fourth quarter or overtime, he's going to show you. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Says, I've been a Jet fan for a long time and never really goes well. Sometimes you got to break that cycle. Sometimes you got to think differently. Remember when Rex Ryan was there? Mark Sanchez was there? You had a lot of great players on that team, a lot of great players in the organization. They held each other accountable. They became physical at practice. And because you practice hard like that, that means you're going to win games like that. That's a part of what it is. So it's tough. But in the end, I think that the NFL is going to get better. If you heard any of these news stories today and you do want those posted, check out Sports Choice Plus on the YouTube channel on the back platform. I want to welcome you guys. It's a pleasure to have you as well. This has been Football Talk for a couple of minutes, for 20, 30 minutes. And until next time, folks, keep the comments in the comment section going. Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus, and we'll see you on the very next episode.